Welcome to our second series of Lessons from a Birth and Baby Business Owner. This is the show where we will be speaking to those who are in or who have been in the birth and baby business world to ask them the questions that you would like to know the answers to on how they got to where they are in the business world right now. My name is Anna LaGrange, and I'm one half of Baba Business, the Birth and Baby Business Academy.
And my name is Liz Stamford, the other half of Baba Business, the community membership for birth and baby business owners. And today we have the pleasure of speaking with one of our members. We're very, very excited to introduce you to the lovely Sarah Saunders. So Sarah is a mindful breastfeeding practitioner and infant feeding coach. At Green Moon Community, she offers infant feeding support one-to-one and in groups, delivers outdoor mindfulness groups for parents and babies, maternal journaling and starting solids groups, as well as monthly free spaces for parents to get support and have social time with a view to building communities. Sounds amazing. With a background in social work, charity management and making coffee at Clapham Junction Station, Sarah has a focus on social justice, I can't say that word, and making changes from a systemic to personal level, and is always making the hot drinks for people she's supporting. I mean, she sounds amazing already, doesn't she? Alongside her own business, Sarah is a volunteer breast buddy, non-executive director for new Baby Network CiC, and trustee for a family charity. Wow. So here we are. And what better place to start than Sarah just saying a little hello to our listeners, and then just let us know how you ended up in this world. What led to you working in the birth and baby world?
Oh, hi both. Hi everybody. Thank you, Liz, for that. Quite amazing hearing that. I feel like really exciting to be here and exciting to talk about it. So I stepped first into the birth and baby world, like many of us, I think, after having my baby myself in 2018. After walking into my local breastfeeding support group and getting supported by some amazing volunteers, I decided to become a volunteer myself. So I volunteered locally in Worcestershire. And very quickly, that became an online virtual space because my baby was born in 2018, like I said. So just 2 years later, all of our volunteering went online. And actually, I've since kind of realised it was a bit of a turning point for my career and for why I'm here today, because the job I was doing running community cafes, coffee is a theme, at that point obviously came to an end. Our cafes didn't reopen after the COVID restrictions and the lockdown, so my job kind of ended at that point. So while we were in lockdown and while I was at home with my toddler, I made a wonderful decision to become a mindful breastfeeding practitioner. And I studied throughout 2020 to do that, and just found myself in a new way. And yeah, that really started my trajectory to where I am today. And in 2021, I took the step from volunteer in our local service to become a breastfeeding support worker. So they recruited paid volunteers, as they call them. And I did that for nearly 3 years, which brings us up to date to today. And it was last year. Oh dear, sometimes the dates roll around in my brain, but I think end of last year, when I finished my infant feeding coach training as well, which kind of just really built on my ability and skills with supporting people with feeding. So I think that sums that up really.
Amazing. What a lovely journey. And I think it does, it's just a running theme, isn't it? That we find that our own experiences in birth, breastfeeding, parenthood is what leads us into this world most of the time. And how did you find that transition in 2020 when we went into lockdown and everything went online? How did you find that personally? Was that really challenging for you, doing the work you were doing, or did you take it in your stride?
I think with a 2-year-old, it wasn't too bad. Like, some days were like quality time that we wouldn't have got. And it gave me the space also to study, like I say, and to really stop and think, and decide where I was going to go next. So it was a really tough time, and I had some like personal health stuff at the end of that year as well, which was really big, which I guess that probably influenced me reassessing everything that year as well. But in general, it gave me headspace and to find something new.
Yeah, I think it did for so many people, didn't it? That 2020, that sort of period was awful and devastating in so many different ways. But I think it did really bring a lot of clarity and a lot of space and a lot of opportunity for people to pursue things that they wouldn't normally have pursued. And for many businesses, mine and Anna's included, it was probably one of our most successful financial years as well. So it's very interesting, the feelings that we all must have about those periods, those funny times. But 2024 now, and it's also an interesting space.
Yeah, and every year is different, isn't it? It's constantly changing. I was thinking about that this morning, that it kind of, the way I feel about my business and the constant need to adapt and change and reassess, it's kind of like when you've got a small baby. Like I'm always saying to people, nothing will ever stay the same. Like however bad it is today, it will change. And actually, however good it is today, it's probably going to change as well. You think you've cracked it, you have to think of something new because it changes. And I've definitely, over this year, learned that about business as well as being a parent.
That is so true, isn't it? I love that. I love that analogy. I think it's really obvious to anyone listening, and hearing your bio and all the things you do, where it almost quite seamlessly has run on from your previous life, your previous work. I'd also love to know, like, how is that initial vision that you had in maybe 2020, 2021, when you were kind of doing your training, is that, sort of, are you doing the stuff that you dreamt that you were doing, or has it completely, you've done a complete pivot from that? Has it gone a different way? Share a bit with us about that journey.
Yeah, I think probably in 2020 I couldn't quite envisage, I can't say that word either. I couldn't quite see how it would be in my community here, as it is now. But probably once I started to think of myself as somebody who could be entrepreneurial and who could have their own business, I think once that shifted in my mind, then and that was probably the year after that, I started to think about how I wanted to create, and creativity is really important to me. And actually working in the NHS also inspired that, because it made me really driven to work out how I could provide what I knew was needed in a new, different way. And yeah, it was a really hard time to actually come to the realization that I wasn't going to be able to do that in my job in the NHS, because I loved it, and I think it's really important. It's a big part of our communities. Obviously, the NHS service is really important, but I wasn't going to be able to be and create what I felt like I wanted to, that would be true to me, but also would be most helpful to people out there as well. I feel like I just rabbit holed that a bit. Did I answer your question?
No, that's good. I totally agree. I think that the NHS does show us what people need. I think sometimes when we're in private practice, actually, we can get a little bit kind of can become a little bit like an echo chamber, like what we know is what we see. But actually, when we work in the NHS, we really see that whole spectrum of our community. So it's actually a real gift to be able to see the different needs everybody might have, and that really does enable you to create services that aren't just what you want or what your course taught you, this is what's going to work for your people or whatever, but actually look at how can I make this work for my community, the people who are around, and who is it I want to support. Do I want to support the people who I would normally see in private practice, or is there another are there other needs that other people might have that I want to look at? So I think it's a really fortunate place to have come from, even if it didn't work out long term, or it wasn't somewhere that was going to be right for you to stay. I think that's a real gift, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's given me that kind of connection deeper into the people here and the different areas and how what I've learned on other courses and about business, but also about literally how to support people and the skills and knowledge I've gained. I've been able to kind of shape it a bit more, and I'm doing that all the time. Like, things have to change and evolve all the time.
That's really good. That's really good. What's the mindset shift like going from, I know you were saying that you're a paid volunteer and that's what they kind of label you as. So what's the shift from going from that paid volunteer role and, then just focusing primarily on your own business, your own, building your own community and doing the things that you want to do? Like, how did that affect your mindset, and how did you cope or deal with it if you needed to?
Well, it was almost completely positive.
Yeah,
the mindset shift, because it was a freedom. Like, it was being able to step into what felt more genuine to me. So it was a real positive. Saying that, the mindset shift which has been more challenging is just stepping away from a pay packet. So how much that frustrated me. It was certainty, and that's something which, learning to live with the uncertainty of having your own business to some extent, especially in the first year or two, when you're building things up, that can come with its own challenges, like emotionally, and just learn how to look after yourself around that, really. And just that's been a challenge, and something which you just need the right support, you need the right people around you, to just stay focused on the positives, maybe the things that are going well, but also focusing on what you need to change and how you're going to do that for the best. What you need to say no to, probably, as well.
All really good points, definitely, because I think that's something that a lot of people aspire to is to go into their business full time and focus on that, have that freedom and that creativity to do what they want, and that flexibility as well, but then leaving behind that stability aspect of a paid role. Like, it can really mess with you, for sure. It can. So it sounds like you've got a good hold on that. And how is it for you thinking about, how do you meet the challenges in your business, like making that income and getting the clients that you need? Like, what would you say are the key things that you do month in, month out that ensures you can replace that income and more?
I think there's a few things. One of the first things that I think of is asking for help. So I've had to be a bit braver about asking for help at home. So, I need to take this time for the business, I need to work at these times, just shifting our roles a bit in the house, like with our little one. So asking for help in that way. It's quite a big challenge, actually, because you have to really stand up and, like, say, this is important to me, and not that it's more important than your child, but also just, sometimes you have to, like, reshift that a bit. What else? I think my mind's going a little bit blank now because I started thinking about that. I think, could you just repeat the question a bit for me, Liz, so I can refocus?
Yeah, so just what are the things that you do, like month in, month out, to make sure that you replace that income and you get those clients that you need?
Yeah, definitely. So I think, thank you for that. I'm just making sure that my communication is really great. I think that's been really important. So with the connections I did have with people who were clients or potential clients, like being consistent in speaking to them, in telling them about what I actually could offer, like, rather than saying, getting a bit louder about what else they could do with me. Actually letting people know about what I do. And I'm not 100% on that. There's stuff that I need to improve on with that, I know. But yeah, getting better at that. And then for me, it's all about collaboration. Like, it's one of my key values is collaboration. And something I did over a year ago, it might even be nearly 2 years ago, is set up a local monthly meetup for other birth and baby business owners. So now we just go for coffee once a month. There's a Facebook group, and I try and nurture conversation there, get myself support as well as encouraging them to support each other as well. So because word of mouthing absolutely is essential. Like I've learned that if you haven't got people talking about you or remembering you when their clients are asking questions about feeding or about their emotional well-being, you need the other practitioners in your area to be your friends. So making friends is really important.
So important. I actually remember you doing that, so I know exactly when it was, because it was when we did the collaboration theme in Baba, which I think was August 2023. In fact, I'm sure it was. So it was 18 months ago, like you said. So yeah. And yeah, and do you know what? It's such a good tip, because so many people come to me and they say, oh, there's not really anyone, or no one really meets up with anything. And I say, create it. It doesn't have to be any more complicated than saying, I am here on this day, this coffee shop. I'm going to do it on this date, like once a quarter, once a month, whatever. If anyone wants to come and chat business with me, come along, And I know you had a lot of people come to that first meeting,
the first
which
one
kind
had
of
like
took you by
20 odd
surprise.
people. It really did. And it was wonderful though. And people loved it because a lot of people feel quite alone. And people feel some people feel defensive as well. Like, and not everybody was comfortable, but I just keep going. And some people have really like come around to it and realised, and other people, it's not for them, it's fine. But that's a big learning thing for me. I think when I first started out, and I reach out to people individually, and some people blank you, some people aren't impressed by you, some people you make like close friends with, and that's okay as well. Like I used to get quite upset by that maybe somebody didn't want to make friends. That was a people pleaser in me. Like I couldn't understand why I couldn't build those relationships, but that's where they were right then, and that's fine. So I think being true to you, but also just allowing other people to be, is also fine.
Yeah, I think it's not everybody is gonna be for you, and that's okay. I heard a saying the other day, and I can't remember it, but when I remember it, I will declare it somewhere. But it really sums up that idea that it's okay to just not be for everybody, but it is hard in the beginning. So anyone listening to this and thinking about starting out, they're starting out on their journey and they're worried about connecting with people. It's okay to get a rejection, if you like. It just means that person's not for you, but there will be people for you. So just keep going. I remember way back when I first started out, I just literally fresh off my training and instinctively wanted to reach out to people in my local area, and reached out to someone. And she sent a really scathing, patronizing email back to me, letting me know that she wasn't interested in knowing me or collaborating with me in any way, shape or form. And I just remember feeling really like, ow, like that really hurt. I was expecting to be welcomed, like with open arms, because I just thought, well, it's going to be such a great giving community, the birth and baby world. Like we're all here to help parents, but no, she wasn't interested. And it did take me a little while to construct a reply and to think, and I just killed her with kindness, really, and just said, I totally understand. Thank you for your response. I wish you all the luck in the world. And I never, ever darkened her door again. And, never shall I, because I would never have done that to somebody. But then I've met so many wonderful people and built a great community locally when I was running my local business that didn't matter, literally after a month or so, I couldn't even remember a name. Can't even remember it now if you ask me. So it does, even if that happens, it doesn't matter.
No, absolutely.
You'll find people that
I think
want
it's
to.
really normal, isn't it, while we're building relationships? But it's being part of your community of local businesses can have so many benefits. It's definitely worth putting yourself out there. And all sorts of opportunities for me.
I'd love to circle back, because a little while ago you were talking about looking after yourself, and you know, around the mindset piece. So I'd love to know a bit more about that. Do you have any sort of like rituals or routines or things that you do that help you when you've got those, for want of a better word, mindset blocks, or something that's kind of keeping you stuck, or like something you recognise as something getting in your way?
Yeah, I think the practical activities that I would do, breath work is always a good one for me. Really just stopping sometimes. I think just stopping myself. If it's just, I've only got 5 minutes, and I think breath work is perfect for that. And I always say to people, you know, if you feel like you've got no time, you have time, you are going to continue to breathe. So just breathe in a particular way, like and you will turn yourself around in a matter of moments. You can turn yourself around. It's so powerful. So definitely that. And I think I've practiced that so much that it's not really something I actively do. I just do it because I think my body just starts, you know, your nervous system helps you do that eventually. Things that I would purposely do are probably journaling. So I will, lots of writing. More recently, I've been doing more of the kind of art journaling, but actually that's related to a group that I'm running. So that's encouraged me to get back into art journaling, which has been really helpful.
Great.
And of course, I just pop into my BABA membership. And I have actually, the thing that I've enjoyed this year is doing the tap-in. Like I think I've shared with you before, Liz, like it's a bit of a challenge for me to sit down and do it. But when I have, it's been so powerful. So yeah, try and just remind myself that you can do those things as well.
That's really good.
So yeah, stopping and taking a bit of time out. But then I think actually having my own business, you can give yourself that permission to do that. Like maybe just planning in some time to do nothing, or planning in time just a coffee on your own, or you know, whatever it is that you need to do.
Yeah, that's really good. Really important. I think that's something that is really underestimated by not just birth and baby business owners, but just business owners in general, is that ritualistic kind of mindset approach to business and to making it part of business. So many of us have these limiting beliefs and these ideas of ourselves and our capabilities, which really, really does impact our success and how we're going to show up as business owners. But by doing these different things, whether it's journaling or affirmations or tapping or breathing or whatever floats your boat, it really does help to shift all of that kind of stuck energy and change the way that you feel about yourself and what you can achieve. Like, I think, and that's not to say that, you know, me and Anna are perfect 100% on that all the time. We drop the ball, and then often when we're like, why do we feel like this? Oh yeah, whoops, you know, haven't been doing what we, you know, what we know helps and makes us feel good, and you just get straight back on that wagon, if you like, and keep going, and within, like you said, it can turn around how you feel really, really quickly.
Definitely, yeah. And again, having that community of other people around you, whether it's online or whether it's in your community, to literally reach out and say, like, have you had this happen, or do you know what I can do to help me with this? You know, reach out to people asking for help. Essential, really. Brilliant. Yeah,
definitely. What would you say, or how would you say you differentiate yourself from other people like locally to you who are offering a similar service? Is there anything that you do that helps to differentiate yourself, or is that not something you find is an issue or a problem?
Well, in some ways it's not too much of an issue because there's really not a lot here. But actually, something I've been talking to other local people about, we did a birth and baby Christmas fair recently, so we had about 15 stalls. That was another way to engage local businesses with mine as well, was to hold a fair and invite them to do that. But something we talked about was culture, and probably our biggest challenge is people realising that this could be for them, because there's not a culture or a history of good services locally, so private ones, so or even like charity ones. So people haven't even realised that this is something they could or should go and engage with. So like we don't even have an NCT presence really here, so and lots of places will have that. So yeah, just introducing the idea of, these kind of things to do with your baby or ways to ask for support outside of the statutory services is quite new here. So I think that's an interesting challenge. But for me, like, probably compared to people who do similar stuff, the whole mindfulness and emotional well-being focus is something which is like my unique kind of offering, if you like. Even with my baby groups, which I didn't always think that I would offer baby groups, but I have ended up doing that. So I deliver nature babies and also mindful baby and me. But in some ways, I kind of almost trick people in because they come, but like, you need to do this because what people think, but even those people who think baby classes are for them, it's often their focus is on what my baby needs or my baby's development, and obviously that's great. But what I care about just as much is their well-being, their emotional world, their self-care, their thriving, not just surviving as a new parent. And so when they come to my group, yes, we engage with the babies, and yes, we give the babies lots of gentle sensory experiences or reflexology, that kind of stuff. But we will spend at least equal amount of time, if not more, on mindfulness for the parent themselves, on a craft activity that they do with their baby, so that they get some creative space, as well as loads of opportunity just to have like the rants that they need to have or the sobs that they need to do. I hold that space for them, and I don't think lots of places hold space for people in that way. That's
so
what I
good.
try and create for them.
What came up for me then is that you are selling them what they want, but you're giving them what they need, which is like, classic marketing strategy.
I had no idea that was a thing.
Yeah,
it definitely is. Yeah. And it's not always easy.
No.
And what it takes is to really know your community. You have to know what it is that they are looking for. And we know often that they need something different, but you've got to get down to their level. Otherwise, they're just going to be like, they're not even going to recognize necessarily that that's something they need, especially when they're very first looking for something and they're choosing who they're going to go and do their classes with.
I meet quite
really
a lot of people who don't feel like most baby groups are for them, because most baby groups are quite big groups, they're quite noisy groups, they're kind of overstimulating for some people and some children. So I try and contrast with that. So everything I'm doing is gentle and is very small groups. Like, I wouldn't ever have more than 8 people in a space. And that, from the feedback that I get, that's something that people enjoy. And that we have quiet time, and there's always coffee. And
coffee again.
And we use cafe spaces as well as spaces with kitchens, so we can access that for ourselves. And I've been really lucky, actually. I should probably say that I've been really lucky with venues, and I think venues, whether it's for big groups or for support groups or whatever it might be, like finding the right space in your community is so important. And I've been really lucky to meet people through other colleagues or other connections, and they've said, come and use our space, or we want to support what you're doing because we believe in that as well. So finding other bigger businesses almost to work with, or a charity in this case, to just help you build what your vision is, really.
That's really important. Good. I think venues are something that a lot of people struggle with, or struggle to find, or they can be a big outlay of or a big portion of their income, and it can be really challenging. But again, like getting into your community, networking, finding out who does what, where the venues are, where who's supportive of this and that, is just really, really important and helpful. And the other thing I picked up on as well, Sarah, which I think is really good, is asking for feedback. The feedback, you understand that small groups are wanted, that there's that contrast in your area, that people want that. They want something calmer, low key, where they can, be themselves and more easily connect with people. That's so important. And again, something that a lot of businesses don't do is asking for that feedback, and not just asking for it, but also acting on it, analysing it, understanding it. So that's a really good practice as well.
Yeah, I think it's important to listen to what people are saying, and what they often you hear the positives easier. You have to kind of really. But with some things that I've done, I've often run tasters or pilot, if you want to call it a pilot. Like I've done those things, and then made sure that that's in exchange for feedback. Like, you don't have to pay, but you do have to give me some feedback. And I want to. My questions are like literally tell me what you didn't like. I need to know, so that things can change with that. I just realised that the thing I didn't say about what I offer differently is that we're outside almost all of the time. I'm outside a lot, and people like that a lot. So that's been some feedback that I've got, that there's nowhere else where you can sit in a circle under the trees instead of in a village hall. And the important thing about that is that the venue that I used wasn't a venue before I had that conversation with the people there. So even if it's not a venue, like, just go and talk to people and have a conversation about their space. Like, if you could see it working, then will they support you in some way? I think, it's just about reaching out and asking those questions. And a bit scary sometimes, but if you bump into the right person who's inspired by what you want to create, then it'll work out.
Yeah, I really believe that if you've got a vision, and you put it out there, and about a vision as well, not just about how, like, imagining an actual space, but like how you want people to feel, how you want to feel yourself. If you put that out there and think and allow yourself to dream it, you're right. The right thing does nearly always come along, I think. Yeah. Do you find that outside space really kind of fills your cup as well?
Yeah, I think so. I didn't really realise how much I would benefit from that, but definitely, like, I mean, not in the last month, but definitely since March, like, I've had like full days outside, just delivering groups, and it feels really good to be out there, and you just breathe differently, you feel different, like you've moved more, get away from your desk.
So good.
Yeah, great.
Very inspiring. Very, very inspiring.
Tomorrow, so hopefully it won't rain, and we've got the last one of the year outside tomorrow. So.
Lovely. That's so nice. I know that's something I'd really look forward to if I was still a mum of a little one, for sure.
Good for us all.
So is there anything over the years, Sarah, that you would have wished you'd done differently? Have you got any sort of regrets along the way?
Juicy.
No, I don't really, as a person, believe in those.
Love it.
But what would I have done differently? So part of me thinks, maybe I would have stepped away from the day job sooner, but at the same time, I think you have to wait till it all kind of lines up. So maybe that's more of a bit of a desire that wasn't met. What else did I do differently? I think the thing that I'm still working on, and that I maybe hope to have done more of, is just speaking a bit more honestly with like friends and family about my business, like to really be visible in that way. And I think, I wish I did more of that, and found the way to do more of that, doing that. Because I think that has a big impact on yourself, like your own emotional well-being, but also probably on your business as well.
Do you think that comes down to, again, what a lot of, not just birth and baby business owners, but I'm going to maybe generalise a bit and say female business owners, what we tend to do is kind of play things down quite a bit, or maybe, when we start a business, we call it our little business or my hobby business, or something that kind of belittles it a little bit. So we almost start from a point where we're not acting like the business owner or the CEO, if you like. We're not taking the business seriously. And then other people kind of feed off that or feed into that. And then you end up in this vicious cycle, don't you, where you think that people don't respect your business, but you're actually not respecting it yourself as well. So I don't know if that kind of resonates.
Yeah,
Or
I can definitely connect with that. I think that, yeah, the vicious cycle thing, absolutely as well. Like you end up like not, it could escalate in a good way, you know, if you did speak up. But I often think about you saying that, Liz, before about being the CEO in your business and like seeing it like that. And I think that helps my mindset to start thinking it like that. But I definitely still play it small sometimes, particularly to the people who are most close to me. But I think the other part of it being about maybe being a woman in a business, but also being a mum in business, is that although I've got better at asking for help, actually, you do sometimes have to make difficult choices, and it's quite hard when the mum guilt that we all live with. We all have mum guilt about something, whether we're running a business or not, but the mum guilt that really comes with it is huge, and it's really hard to acknowledge that and to carry that sometimes.
And I'm wondering, without wanting to step too much into sort of this being like a coaching conversation, I wonder if some of this is about like you celebrating what you've achieved, because it is phenomenal, all this stuff you're doing. And, you know, I think it's often when we are brave enough to step out and celebrate what we've done that our friends and family do notice it or do feel able to talk to us. Sometimes they're even watching on the sidelines and they felt that discomfort or disconnect themselves, and then when you celebrate it, they're able to sort of celebrate with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you I'm sure, because I know how mindset stuff works, is that if you can push through it or change the way you're behaving, almost always more positive stuff comes out of it. So yeah, for other people to be involved with it. But yeah, we've all got our stuff, you know. Like, I'm definitely a retiring people pleaser, and like there's a lot of me that doesn't care half as much than I used to about what other people think.
That's good.
But I think there's a constant balance between your personal and home life and your business. And when it's a small business that you're starting, when it comes from your heart, like it is part of who you are, like, and how you separate those things or get them to work next to each other is an interesting one. It's a challenge.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. We all have these these issues to work through. Absolutely. So as we come to the end of this conversation, what I'd really love you to share with our listeners is maybe just one piece of advice that you would like to impart on a birth or baby business owner who wants to create an impactful business, but also create those solid foundations for a sustainable business as well. Is there anything that comes to mind for you?
I think the thing I come back to a lot is about values, and I think doing that piece of work, like knowing who you are and what the values you've got and what the values of your business is going to be, and just coming back to that all the time. Like, I think I've changed probably some of the wording occasionally, but I've actually always come back to mine to be exactly the same. And if you can check in with those when you're making decisions, if you can check in with yourself when you're feeling really high and happy, or when you're feeling really low and things are really challenging, I think coming back to those ideas, those values that you hold, will always be helpful to you, because it will either give you the power to make decisions, or it will lift you because you'll be reconnected with who you are and what you want for your business. So yeah, I find those really useful. So get to know what your values are and be true to them, like allow them to direct you.
Great piece of advice, definitely. We love a bit of values work, to be honest, don't we, Anna? It is.
We do. It's very important. Yeah. And it can shift and change, but you to come. And also just from that point of view of if you feel like you're sort of getting off track or you're feeling a bit disconnected from your business, it's a really good way to check in with, you know, where you're heading. And often when we're feeling like that, it is because we're not being true to our values. So I think it's it's like a great yardstick for everything, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
For sure.
Oh, it's been so good chatting to you today, Sarah. Thank you for being here. We will share this in the podcast notes, but would you be able to tell everybody where they can find you, please?
Sure. So my social media handle is at Green Moon Community on Facebook and Instagram. You find all my details, and I spend loads of time there, so you'll find me there.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
And thanks to
everyone.
everybody for listening or watching. If you've enjoyed this, please do leave us a comment, like, subscribe, head over to Instagram as well, and get in the conversation about this podcast episode, because we love hearing from you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.